Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Good News Report with Pamela. That's who I am, Pamela Marshall. It is so nice to have you with us today on the Good News Report. As we have been doing over the last few days, we are continuing our conversations with candidates seeking to serve the people of Gainesville and Alachua County. Our guest today is Nelida Jean-Baptiste Pellot, candidate for Gainesville City Commission District 2. Nelida brings a unique combination of professional experience, community advocacy, and lived experience to this race. She currently works as a housing inspector for the Gainesville Housing Authority, serves as the director with the Pride Community Center of North Central Florida, and has been involved in community organizing and housing advocacy. Her own journey has shaped the way she looks at housing and her community. After a life changing tragedy in which her home burned, Nelida came to Gainesville and experienced housing insecurity herself, including, get this, a period when she lived in her car. Today, she works directly with people navigating housing systems and says that experience strengthened her commitment to making sure others have access to safe and stable housing. Nelita says she wants to help build a Gainesville where everyone has an opportunity to thrive. Her priorities include affordable housing, transparency and clarity in local government, stronger neighborhood infrastructure, meaningful community participation, and preparing Gainesville for climate challenges. District 2, as you might remember from some of our other interviews, is an open seat this year, with Commissioner Ed Book not seeking reelection. Gainesville voters will choose among three candidates for that seat on August 18th. So today, we're going to have an opportunity to go beyond the campaign signs, beyond what you have seen, and to hear from the woman herself in person, Nelida Jean-Baptiste Pellot. Welcome to the Good News Report. I am delighted that you are here with us today.
Thank you so much, Ms. Marshall Hart. Marshall, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Just Pamela is good. We're
Okay,
just
thank you,
we're,
Pamela.
yeah, we're just friends sitting here having a little chat. This is your first time running for office.
It is. It is.
So
It
why
doesn't feel like it, but it is.
it doesn't feel like it?
No.
Why is that?
Oh, because I've been on a lot of other campaigns, assisting other campaigns to get off the ground. So some of the things that I'm doing for my own campaigns are ideas that I brought from campaigning for other candidates.
So how does it feel to be the candidate?
So, true honesty, at first I thought that I would feel something, but what I feel is a lot more responsibility, a lot more necessity to listen. Whereas before, maybe I would have maybe not paid so much attention or sought out as many conversations or community events, not because I didn't want to. It's because I'm usually a weird introvert that I'm very outgoing when I need to be, but for most of the time, I like to be home and enjoy. Like as I say, I like to enjoy my rent. I pay enough of it. I need to enjoy it.
You like to go home and enjoy your rent.
Yes.
That's that's a nice way to look at it.
Hmm.
So you probably have not been able to enjoy your rent very much since this campaign started.
Not really.
So we are, of course, in the midst of early voting. How has this changed this campaigning? How has it changed you and how you see the importance of voting?
Um, to be clear, I never really understood the need for smaller elections or campaigns because growing up, thinking about survival, right? I'm not thinking that the things that affect me the most are the ones that are the most local. So I always thought, the presidential campaign, that was the big one. But when you go down to look at it, like your commissioners are the ones who decide, how the city is, like the infrastructure is, how, how things are installed. They're deciding all of these things, right? So that's very important. You're also looking at judges. So if you ever had to go before a judge, or you had to deal with a judge, you would want someone who is fair and can advocate you. And you look at the school board, all of these things affect us more sometimes than the presidential campaign and who's sitting, on the in the White House.
Well, that's what has always been said, is that politics is local.
Hmm.
And it is amazing that we make such a bigger deal out of the presidential election, and that, of course, there are more people who turn out for that. And I think it's just because people really don't understand how local elected officials, and you mentioned judges, um, people, I think they see and they just check the box for judge. They don't think about, will I ever have to stand before this judge, or how does this judge's views impact my belief system?
Right.
So you see that differently now. What are you saying to people about that?
uh be curious. I cannot fan flames where there's no spark. So if you're not curious, if you're not first wanting to understand how your local government works and how it works to affect you, how the changes, then you're not ever gonna wanna like learn more. But I'm asking local residents, be curious, understand who you vote for. Um, like for example, in my candidacy, the two other people that I'm running against are outstanding, outstanding, and I have a lot of respect for them. But when you have three beautiful candidates, as this race does, I think it's so valuable for a person to not choose based on what they know or who they know, whatever party or whatever politics. Read what the candidate stands for, and then also hold us accountable when we sit in that seat, right?
Yeah.
If we said we're planning to do X, Y, and Z, and it's a year in and you don't see any X, Y, and Z, I'm saying pick up the phone, give me a call, say what's going on.
Well, do you feel like there's such apathy with voting because people feel like people almost see elected officials as celebrities almost, and I can't pick up the phone and call them. They're not going to respond to me. They don't want to hear anything I have to say.
That's absolutely not true. I can't speak for anybody else, but I can speak for myself. I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the lived experience. I don't use some of the services that the city needs all the time. And I try to, not only because sometimes I need it, but also because I want to see things from other people's perspectives. So I think that we need to stop treating our electeds as celebrities, as they are there to answer to the people. And if you're not answering to the people, then who are you representing? So I think that we should stop that behavior, specifically in Gainesville, where everything has there's this weirdness to Gainesville, and I call it weirdness, and I know that's off-putting to some people, but I call it weirdness because the way that Gainesville is so friendly and welcoming and inviting and just accepting of come as you are is something that's very beautiful to me. So if you can accept that for me as a regular citizen, why not as an elected? Why not expect that more as an elected? That you could reach out to me and say, "Hey, I'm having this problem," and if I can find a solution, I will help. But if I can't, I can also tell you, "Hey, here are these resources."
So then tell us what brought you to Gainesville as this place that you feel is pretty unique. What did you say? What was the word?
Weird.
Weird. That Gainesville is so weird.
Yeah, I keep saying keep Gainesville weird. I love the weirdness of Gainesville. I love how passionate people are about our trees. I love how passionate people are about our environment, about making sure that there's safety. I love the passion, that weirdness, that intricate little machine that Gainesville has of keeping, and it surprises you sometimes who you see out on the street advocating for people. It surprises you sometimes because it comes from the places you wouldn't expect, right? And so those are the things that to me made me fall in love with Gainesville and say, this is where I want to build my roots. And also, I want a government that works for me. So let me try to get involved.
Nelida is one of three candidates in the race for Gainesville Commission District 2. As I read in your introduction, you
Hmm.
experienced homelessness.
Hmm.
Homeless experience housing insecurity, I think is the politically correct way to say it. How has that experience shaped the way you view housing and public policy? Because Gainesville is one of the most expensive places to live in the state, maybe even in the country per capita. How has experiencing housing insecurity impacted you?
Oh, wow. So um, I think I've not ever truly lived without housing insecurity in my whole life. When I first came to the mainland of the US, because I was born in Puerto Rico, I was homeless then as well. And then we worked our way into finding homes and understanding how to maintain yourself housed. Then I found Gainesville, and um, I would say that my true perspective here, and I'm struggling because it comes with a lot of emotion. My true perspective here is that there's this thought that homelessness is an individual failure. Meanwhile, when I've been homeless as an adult, every time I've been homeless, I've had minimum 3 jobs. Minimum. I've had more than three, but I've had minimum. Um, I've worked, I've had a job, I've been homeless. I've had more than one job. I've had all of these things, and you're going to tell me that working more than 40 hours a week, I can't afford to house myself? That says more about the system that we're participating in than the individual. And as we are all taught that homelessness is an individual, well, a lot of us are taught that, right? I can't say that generally. A lot of us are taught that homelessness is that individual failure, and it truly isn't. Homeless people, sometimes we are one paycheck, one accident, one incident away from homelessness. And we don't necessarily always realize that.
Yeah, well, it's said that the average American can't afford a $400 emergency. So there are people who are probably watching who are nodding their heads saying, I am one paycheck away.
Hmm.
When we talk about homelessness and you're talking about your situation of working and being homeless, do you find, Nalita, that we have two groups of homeless people? We have those who are working who are homeless, and then we have those who have mental health challenges and drugs addi- a- addictions, not necessarily just drugs,
Hmm.
and that everybody that's homeless gets lumped into the same barrel.
Right, but I would say there's more than two because I've
Okay,
been homeless different ways. I've been homeless in that I, again, work, I sleep on someone's sofa. That's still homelessness. But I'm
got
still sheltered and I still have the privilege of not being exposed to the elements and all of that. So I'm not going to go into those details. I personally feel there's more than two camps. And I think that um, being lumped in with people who are homeless because of addiction and any type of like mental health or disability really continues to highlight the fact that it is a failure and flaw of the system that
oh,
is
yeah.
in place.
I completely agree with you. So, affordable housing is one of the biggest concerns for a lot of Gainesville residents.
Mhm.
I'm sure you heard that a lot on the campaign trail. So, what specific actions would you like to see the city commission take to make housing more affordable?
There are quite a few. Um, for homelessness specifically, I've actually put out on my website and on my socials the Hope Cottage Initiative, which is an initiative they have in it's actually a program in Tampa and St. Pete, where Pasco and Tampa they fund a it's I would call it a rehabilitation for homeless people, but you're not rehabbing from like drugs or anything like that. No, no, you're learning how to stay housed.
Mm.
So I believe it's a 30 to 60, 30, 60, 90-day program, plus they're afforded 2 extensions. And then it does a few things for the city. So if, say, we had this program, what they do is they put out these small cottages and tents in the city, and they partnered with Catholic charities, which we do have here in Gainesville, and I've emailed a few times to try to find out if we could bring that program here. But they set up these cottages, they put every service that they can at these people in order to get them housed. They work with local housing authorities, they work with local employers. The point is, get these people housed, right? And get them to a place where they can support themselves. That's one program, but that's for homeless people. When I look at middle income people, I've been looking at zoning specific for student housing, like ensuring that student housing does not get called into any rentals that are in the outside of that area,
Uh-huh.
because a lot of those rentals are way more expensive than an apartment should be. And I'm not trying to compete with student housing, that's its own little thing, but therefore it should be zoned differently so that we don't add those comparables in there. Because in student housing, you'll have an apartment that's 5 bedrooms and you rent each bedroom for like 1,200. Imagine a family of 6 or 7 trying to move into a bedroom, an apartment like that, and the type of rent that they would have to pay. It's insane.
Well, as Gainesville is growing, and I often look at the new construction and think, where are all these people coming from?
Right.
Yeah, how do you believe that the city commission can play a role in helping to accommodate the growth
Hmm.
while maintaining the quality of life residents in Gainesville have come to love and enjoy?
Yeah, a lot of people focus on the housing aspect, just like the building of the homes and having enough homes. But you also have to consider the supporting infrastructure. You have to consider RTS and transportation. You also have to consider jobs. There are a lot of empty places downtown that could be available for rent for businesses. We need to incentivize that and have business owners come and open in buildings that have already been built and not take up other land elsewhere. You could incentivize local business owners who are looking to expand or who are looking to open shop to build in a central area, and you fill some of these older places. And I've even thought of one of my other ideas is an incentive where we can diversify, because I know GRU is a massive issue. We can diversify how we get our utilities through, or how they get their utilities, by putting solar panels and offsetting some of the rent for these properties. So we're not also putting a whole bunch of solar panels in an empty field and killing our grass and resources there.
So you have expressed concern about the environment.
Yes.
How receptive is that message for you
Mm.
as you're talking about it to people? Are they on board with what you're?
Some people understand that human nature and environmental nature are one and the same. If we're not protecting our environment, we're not protecting our natural resources, we're not protecting humans,
Mm.
because it's an ecosystem. We thrive off of each other. And if we're taking more than we're putting back in or we're protecting, then there's not going to be anything for future generations. And I think that's something that I consistently try to look at, how we can build not for only today, but how do we build for the generations to follow, so they're not left with some of the problems that came from, their predecessors, other generations. Like, for example, boomers and millennials, we have things, I guess, that were passed down to us by our boomer generations and our older generations, and there are problems that we have to deal with now, for example, the environmental issues. But how do we prevent our other generations from having to deal with some of those problems that we've had to deal with?
Yeah, I actually was talking to a young lady. She's now a junior at UF, and she said, "You all are putting way too much on us. I wish you all would not be counting on us to handle so much." And I thought, wow, I'm not even sure that I was even thinking about that or needed to think about that because my parents' generation were the ones who were helping to build a better America, better communities, jobs were flourishing. And so that was not on my mind. And so for this young lady to say to me, I wish you all would not be counting on us to do so much. And and how do we do you think people okay, no, I was going to ask, do you think people are thinking about that? And I'm not sure if they are.
They are. I know that the younger generations, I've heard some of the
No, no,
stuff
no,
that
no.
they're
I'm
thinking
talking
about.
about people in my generation as we are navigating. Are we
We didn't
thinking?
have to think about it either as millennial. I didn't have
Yeah,
to think about that.
yeah. I'm right at the end of the boomers. And so you didn't have to think about it. And so what do we say to these young people? Because I was like, she silenced me because I thought, wow, are we so far gone that we are leaving so much on them to take care of? And then how do we put the brakes on and try to um, create a situation where they actually have something to hold on to? Because right now it's pretty slippery. I was listening to a story on NPR about how many people between the ages of 25 and 35 are living with their parents.
Both
Some
of
get
them.
married, and the whole thing, the husband, wife, and children have
Mhm.
to move back home with their parents because they can't afford to live by themselves.
Right. Absolutely. Um, that's a hard one. I'm going to be quite honest because I didn't have to think about it, and I'm not talking about thinking about it as recently as my campaign, but it's only been maybe in my 30s that I started to think about the weight of all the changes that came from the generations before us that we have to deal with. Um, it and it's so crazy that our younger generations see it that way much more quickly than we had to.
Right.
But also, I would say that keeping written historical records, writing, we're losing all of these things, right? We're losing actual writing. We're losing keeping historical records and writing and printed. We're losing a lot of this stuff because we just put it on the cloud. And I think all of those things were necessary because when you go back and you look at like archaeologists, how did they find out about pasts? How did they find out about generations prior? How did they find out? Because there was written history, there was painted history, there was art, there were things that we could have collected, that were tangible, that we
Yeah.
could share. Now what we have is the internet and everything exists all at once, everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, as you said, we're losing stuff because you dropped the phone in the commode
Yeah,
and it wasn't backed up.
right.
So, um, as you talk about these issues and what is required is citizen involvement, how would you like to make sure that residents um, who don't normally attend commission meetings, because I've gone to them, and even, you know, people that are there, they're there for their issue and then they leave.
Right.
But how do you talk to people as you're interacting with people, asking them to support you in this campaign? Encourage them to attend these local meetings so that they can have a real voice in what's happening in their community.
Sadly, the best tool in that one is fear. And I say sadly because that's the only thing that's going to make you take half a day off from your job to go to a commission meeting for the most part. I think that the commission and how the accessibility for our regular residents, for us even as a candidates, um trying to exist and in this city and participate, I feel like they make it so much more harder when the meetings are at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday or Thursday, when everybody's at work, when kids are at school. And some of these kids actually do want to speak up because a lot of the decisions affect our youth. How do we get youth involvement? How do we get all this involvement? I think the first thing we would need to do is change the time of the meetings so it's accessible for people who work regular 8 to 5 jobs.
Just keep talking. I'm not clicking buttons and I'm trying to get back on.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, um, that is a challenge, and maybe that's something that um, you can. Well, let me just ask you, what is it that you would like to accomplish in the first 100 days? And don't quit talking until you see me come back, okay?
Hey, sorry. Okay, so
Go ahead.
my first 100 days. First of all, I'd like to get myself acquainted with everything, making sure that anything there is to read. I truly enjoy coming home with homework and reading a whole bunch of books and just like, or data and history, just to make sure that I'm fully aware. Another thing that I want to do is I would love to work to change the hours in which our city committee meetings are. I do want um, resident and citizen engagement before we start to make decisions. Before, I feel like a lot of times the resident citizen engagement is after a plan has been formed. And I feel like that is not sufficient for how I would like to see things. I would love that we have resident or citizen advisors that are expert in their fields before we start getting to planning. We need input from people who actually experience these things. We need to listen to these people. I would also like to host a walk and talk, maybe set aside a day to have at least quarterly, have conversations with residents and listen. Maybe take a walk in the park where they bring all their things and where we're not doing it in a stressful way, but also that they're feeling heard and listened to, because that's something that I want. I want, even if you don't disagree with me, I heard you out. That's really what I want to do for our residents and our citizens. And I call them residents because I'm used to calling everyone I serve at Gainesville Housing Authority residents. So I call everybody a resident. But
Well,
yes, to me, it's just a bigger housing authority type thing. Like, we are serving our people. We need to listen to our people when we make decisions that affect our people, period.
well, you all have had an opportunity to meet Nelida Jean-Baptiste Pellot. She is a candidate for Gainesville City Commission District 2. She is one of three candidates in the race. We have invited everyone to participate in these interviews. And if you have not seen the other interviews, I invite you to go to our YouTube channel at Peacemaker Pamela. While you're there, like and subscribe. I was speaking to somebody right before I came in here, Nelida, and he said, "Oh, that's good because I'm filling out my ballot." So I told him, go watch the interviews and so that you can make an informed decision, not just what somebody told you to do. So thank you again for being here. But before you go, I would like to do a little lightning round with you. Nothing that you have to overthink, okay? We ready to go?
Yes. I'm glad I overthink.
Well, you don't need to overthink this. Coffee or tea?
Coffee, iced.
Iced coffee?
Mhm.
Okay. Morning person or night owl?
Both.
Both, okay. Dogs or cats?
Dogs, but I love cats.
Okay. Favorite place in Gainesville?
Mm. Right now, Heartwood Soundstage.
That's a nice place to go. I've enjoyed going there. Favorite Gainesville restaurant?
Um, I was kind of sad it's temporary closed, but it's Sushi Saki.
Sushi Sake? Where
Yeah.
was that? Where is that?
It's downtown. It's near UF.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really good. The only reason it's my favorite is because for some reason been able to capture the taste of the sushi sake that I used to live across the street from in Miami.
Ah, okay. Okay. Fair enough. I think we already know this. What's the word you describe? What is your one word that describes Gainesville?
Weird.
Ah, and what's the one word that describes your leadership style?
Mm. People powered, but I guess that's a hyphenated word.
What what is something that people would be surprised to learn about you?
That I speak Italian. I speak Spanish and English, but most people think I
Spanish,
would.
English,
So,
and Jean-Baptiste is French,
yes, but
but you speak.
unfortunately, my father wasn't around to teach me. I would have loved to learn.
Yeah, okay, cool, cool, cool. If you could have dinner with anyone living or deceased, who would that be?
Fictional or
Doesn't matter. Living or deceased. Living or deceased. So I guess we need somebody that used to be alive.
I think I would want to speak to the Taino chief in Puerto Rico,
Okay,
only to get some history.
gotcha, gotcha. And if you could solve one problem in District 2 tomorrow, what would that be?
Just one.
Yeah, pick one. What would you like to solve?
Gun violence.
Gun violence. Um, what is the one thing Gainesville is doing really well?
Public spaces. The public spaces initiative. Wild places.
All right. And what brings you joy when you're not working and or campaigning?
Singing and dancing at porch sessions at Heartwood.
Oh, wow. Cool. Cool. Do you salsa?
No, I just I'm actually going there now. I sit. They have a circle. It's very just they put out chairs and they have a bar and anybody who comes to play. And so I just like to enjoy the music, go with the rhythm, go with the night, and just dance and just be.
Oh, that's nice. Nice. Very nice. What's your favorite book? The last book you've read. What's your favorite book?
The last book I read or favorite.
Let's go with favorite. What's your favorite book?
So how about I do the one that I recommend to most people to read as base, which is The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown.
Ah, here's another one that you can recommend. The Art of Forgiveness by Pamela D. Marshall. I hear it's
Whoa.
amazing.
I have not read that one, but I think I need to read that one.
Yes, 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 yes. You do, you do, you do. So what gives you hope?
My students at Theater Connect.
And finally, Nelida, since this is the good news report, what is the good news about Gainesville that you want our viewers to know about? What's the good news?
The good news is that, and it's not only Gainesville specific. If you want hope, you will find it. You just have to cultivate it.
Ah, well, that's very inspiring. Thank you so much. Um, you know what? We had some comments here. Maureen Henry said, "I like what this candidate is saying." Um, then she said, "Most candidates feel this way only to find out after being elected that it's hard to find that they need to have a majority to get things done."
Hmm.
So that is a challenge sometimes. Um, something that you said, and Star Porter, hey Star, said exactly correct. And she said thank you.
Thank you.
Couldn't see the comments as we were going. Otherwise, I would have been popping them up. But Nalita, thank you so much for carving out time and delaying your hardwood appearance. I hope you will get a standing ovation as you go and greet your fellow dancers at Heartwood. And best of luck in the final days of this campaign. The actual election, we are in early voting. And let me just say, there is going to be an event on Saturday that is sponsored by the 4As of Gainesville. I don't know if you're going to be there or not, but many.
I'm not going to be there. I'm going to be riding the souls to the polls. I'm going to be driving people to vote.
Oh, you will.
Yes, ma'am. That's where I'm needed.
Well, and this is at the supervisor of election, so you'll be able to see a lot of people as you're bringing
Oh,
people.
I'm just going to the one in District 2, unfortunately. My route is down 43rd to the Millhopper Library.
Ah, you're going to the Millhopper Library.
Hmm.
Okay, cool, cool. Well, do what you got to do, sister.
I do.
All right. All right. Well, thank you again so much for being with us. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us for the Good News Report. This is a place where we come to share good news. And let me just say to you, if you're breathing right now, that is good news. I'm Pamela Marshall. Thank you so much for joining us at the Wellness Radio TV and at the Wellness Radio TV podcast. Remember, there is healing at the well. Make it a fantastic moment, and we'll see you next time.